Welcome or welcome back to the trenches. My name is Dahlia, and today we'll be talking about the Heretic Naval Raiders of Trench Crusade. The blood-dimmed tide is loose, and everywhere the ceremony of the innocents is drowned. The Heretic fleet maintains naval supremacy on the majority of the seven seas. Only in the Mediterranean do the faithful strive to maintain some parity in order to ensure the supply of New Antioch. But elsewhere, the Heretic naval raiders are an ever-present menace for shipping lanes and coastal communities. Led by the High Captains, the power of the Heretic fleet is threefold. First, there are the behemoth capital ships, built in the mockery of the ark that God once bade Noah to construct. These are enormous capital ships, floating cities that act as mobile bases for fast strike craft and insidious submarines that prowl the shipping lanes and ambush military convoys. For land operation, the fleet employs the infamous naval raiding parties as marine infantry. Naval raiders' armor is modified to double as diving suits, allowing entire strike teams to infiltrate the shoreline batteries, harbor defense undetected. The diving cylinders of the naval anointed hold oxygen mixed with unnatural fumes from the lake of fire, providing up to 66 hours of breathable gas and bestowing a high degree of resistance to decompression sickness. Thus, they can stay submerged for extended periods of time, gathering large infantry strike forces undetected right at enemy shores. The Heretic naval raiders rarely have problems in finding fresh recruits. Several mighty nobles of hell lay claim over the seven seas, attracting many of their worshippers to the fleets. There is plentiful loot, as well as many chances for promotion and finding favor in the eyes of their infernal overlords through deeds of one-not murder, despoiling the places where saints once spread the faith of the tyrant god. Heretics hate with white-hot rage. A favorite tactic of the naval raiders is to sneak upon their target in the cover of night, striking at dawn in honor of the morning star. This serves the dual purpose of taking the enemies when they are their most vulnerable, as well as the blasphemous ritual in honor of the throne that the infernal lords one day wish to erect on Mount Zaphon after toppling the seat of YHWH. The raids typically start with a silent stealth assault. Any lookouts will have their throats ripped upon by the Tartarus claws of the death commandos. Our silent naval legionnaires emerge from beneath the waves, unleashing sudden death with poison gas grenades, silenced pistols, and bordering X's. Once the alarm is raised, and bombardment by specialized sea hags pounds the target, throwing defenders into confusion and turmoil. This shock to the defenders is followed up by the charge of elite legionnaires intoxicated by fumes of their oxygen tanks. Often the naval raiders have crept close enough to their enemies that when the time to strike comes, there is no time to organize defenses. Lacking heavier troops or armor support, naval raiders combat doctrine riles on speed, suppress, and savagery. Fighting is to be undertaken at close quarters, favoring automatic weapons and penetrating any lines of defense and engaging their enemies in brutal melee with boarding axes and short stabbing blades before a proper defense line can be organized. Competition for prestige and honor of inflicting the greatest amount of pain and destruction on the faithful land is fierce. To provide proof of success of their attacks, each High Captain has their own unique way of declaring that they were behind the raids, each more deprived than the next. For example, the 112th Sea Legion, the Virtue Breakers, dismember its fallen enemies and use goetic rituals to return a necromantic semblance of life to quivering flesh, leaving crawling and twitching arms, legs, and screaming heads behind for the rescuers to discover. Meanwhile, the crew of the Serpent-class strike ship, disciples of the burning water, prefer to drag their opponents overboard and then cut them with underwater welding torches. They take pride by killing their prey in any manner where they die by drowning and burning simultaneously. Objectives of heretics raids vary: slave raids, destruction of shore defense or communities, gathering information, looting coastal enclaves, or escorting death commandos on missions to take out important church leaders or temporal rulers through assassination. What the faithful fear the most, however, are full-scale evasions within the heartlands like the 1872 landing that conquered Rijga and established a beachhead that is like a dagger pointed at the heart of the church. Thus sea patrols from the Gulf of Finland to the coastal guard of the Demesne of France and the Capadon Pasha's fleet, sailing the seas of Arabia, nervously watch the waves, hoping that the waters of their home shores do not hide a heretic naval raiding party. But the age of the Great War is dark, and the sea belongs to the enemies of God. And that is all of the heretic naval raiders. I hope you guys enjoyed this installment, and honestly, I wouldn't want to be caught at sea near any of the heretic naval raiders. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the trenches.